Hey everyone. So yesterday was Blackout Tuesday, and I put a black box up on my social media, but I really was engaging in conversation that day, and I made a video of my conversation that I'm gonna share with y'all. So part of my layers that I bring to this conversation of Black Lives Matter is I'm in a same gender relationship. I'm a black woman, I'm a cisgender woman, I'm in a same gender relationship, and I'm in a mixed race relationship. And that really contributes to the layers of me understanding myself and the world as my worldview. And I think it creates a particularly interesting opportunity for me to engage in conversation with people in a lot of ways. And my partner is also a therapist. And her and I get to have really great conversations about race. Some of them don't go well, but that's still great. And we both also do couples work. So there's attachment that I think is left out of the conversation sometimes around relationships, because part of the struggle sometimes is I often want to stay connected, and when we're talking about hard things, it's often hard to feel connected. So I took the opportunity to kind of start the conversation of some difficult dialogue that I would like to share publicly, and she was really open to it. So the next, it's about 12 minutes or so, and it's really just us kind of getting started with um, what it's like to talk about race and have those difficult dialogues. And I hope you find it helpful.
So, Lisa, I don't know if you want to say anything more about just you and who you are and how it feels to kind of have a dialogue about all this.
I just want to say thank you for inviting me. And I also love our talks. I learn so much from our talks. And yeah, in this particular moment, it's particularly helpful to talk to you about being a white person, and how do I be an ally? How do I keep talking? How do I stay engaged even when it's scary? So thank you for having me on your podcast or on your show.
At least it teased what I think I'm probably going to be turning this into a podcast at some point. Just sort of the hope, but I think sometimes it's not a bad thing to jump into the deep end. So I really appreciate, Lisa, you showing up and being willing to do this. And how do you feel about just sort of jumping right in?
That sounds good.
Okay, and we're going to try to keep this somewhat short. And we each wrote up some questions as we were thinking about just race within even relationships and talking about that. So I think Lisa, I just want to start with you, if that would be okay, and just say, could you share maybe a little bit what it's like for you as a white person to talk with me as a Black person about race?
Well, yeah, I'm trying to think of how, because there's some comfort that I can rest in, that if I some fear comes up. Am I gonna screw something up? Am I gonna, there's a sense that I won't understand, could never understand. There's this disconnect, right? Where I want to be close with you and I want to understand, and yet I'm afraid that I can never. And as a white person in particular, this dance of, like I guess I mentioned it before, wanting to stay engaged and not just go silent when I'm not sure what to say, but not wanting to say too much or make it about me or something like that. So that's something that you and I kind of a dance that we've had at times in our dialogue. So there's some comfort with you, Angela, but I can tell you that in other spaces right now, I feel a great desire to show up, and also not sure what to do when I get there. And I, so I think that's why I just value our discussions so much, because I feel worried and scared, and yet I want to stay engaged in dialogue around depression and my white privilege. But I have all those fears that come up too. So I don't know if that answered your question, but.
Yeah, well, you mentioned there's some fears, but with me, there's some comfort. Mm-hmm. So it sounds like with me, there's some comfort in, I think probably both feel that there's some comfort in kind of processing our experience. But it didn't always start that way, right? We had some difficult dialogues around race initially, and it makes me think about maybe with, out in the world with strangers, people that you meet, it might be different. The conversation of race and race relations and everything involved in that is different when there isn't that comfort, when there isn't that safety.
Yeah. And then I think it takes the work to get there. The work to be able to slow down and listen and stay engaged even when it's hard. And like you said, we definitely had some of those dialogues that were hard. But yeah, it's harder in certain spaces when when you're not sure how something you say is going to be received or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's that reception piece. It's that fear of what's going to happen when I say this.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It makes me wonder, when you think about even just talking about race, what do you think? What are some of the most challenging aspects of that?
I'm thinking about this idea that this feels vulnerable. That for white people, like what makes it hard right now is like, we were all raised in this soup, and it's a problematic soup. And so it's like, what am I going to say that will make someone think it's so hard to even describe this. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to answer the question. It's fear of wanting so much to help and be helpful and help people feel heard, but just being afraid that I'm going to screw it all up. Mm-hmm. I don't even remember what you asked now. I'm sorry. I think I got caught up in my own thoughts.
Well, yeah, I appreciate the emotion that comes out, because it's that emotion that you talk about. I think from my experience as a Black person, that emotion is what makes a lot of white people stop.
Yeah.
Whatever is underneath that feeling. I know for me, ending up in conversations trying to talk about race, when I'm talking about race, I'm really talking about my experience, right? As a Black person, I don't talk about race all that much. Mm. I really talk about the experience of being oppressed and marginalized, right? As a Black person, I'm very aware that I'm Black. I'm very aware that that's the skin that I walk in. So as Black people, we actually talk less about race, but we feel and we talk a lot about the experience of what it means to be Black. And that your tears that came up, I think I've sat in conversations with people that don't look like me, and I can feel it's like something gets heavy, something gets deep, something gets just difficult. And I know for me, that's when I'm really sharing something that matters and it's important, and I can feel it myself, and it's like, I don't know how this person's going to receive it. And your tears, that feeling of, I don't really know, it's like, I think we both end up hitting that wall. And I know for me, as the marginalized person in that group, I tend to back off.
Right.
Because it's almost that, you talk about that safety that you and I have built. It's like, is this person going to catch me? Are they going to get it? Are they going to hear it? And if they don't get it, are they going to ask questions?
Right.
Because the fear is it's going to fall on deaf ears.
Yeah. So you're bringing up that idea of, you know, and certainly knowing about how tears can sometimes shut down a conversation, and also right now not wanting to be that, so much not wanting to be that, but also staying engaged and listening and just recognizing it's hard, and you hit a depth of feeling when you're doing this work. So how do we keep stepping forward and keep listening?
Right. Well, because even as you say that, I'm aware that was one of the things that you and I have had to work through, that idea of just even tears. And, you know, it's, to me, it draws on the really complexity of relationships and people, because of my partner, when I talk to you and I see you tearful, it's, you know, tell me what hurts. But as a Black person, it's sort of like, well, I have to take care of a white person, and it's in a relationship, it's really difficult to hold those parts. It's really difficult. So this is somebody that I care about, and this is somebody that makes me feel this way. Those are hard to reconcile.
Yeah.
Right. And I think we've done this enough times. We've bumped up against it, and we've each kind of done our own work around it, that I know where those tears are coming from, and I can feel empathy, but I don't have to feel some taking care of.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that's work that you continue to do in your own space. And the people that don't do that work, those are the ones, for me, that's hard to have those conversations with.
Mm-hmm.
Because whatever that feeling is, it causes them to go away, and then we don't have the deep conversations. And I think for me, that's difficult.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like for you, in some ways, in talking with white people, that you feel greater comfort in knowing that maybe white people in their feelings they're going to stay, like you said, they're going to stay and listen. Your message is not going to fall on deaf ears. Those tears do not mean I'm shutting down and I can't hear you anymore. Those tears are feelings, and also we can stay engaged. Have I got that?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even in this moment, I'm aware, like, I also find my own self, I tear up in experiences when I feel scared. When I'm having conversations with people and I get scared, and there's a lot of experiences where that happens. I know what my triggers are. I really struggle around authority, and there's multiple layers of oppression. I really struggle in authority, and really struggle when I feel like I've done something wrong in the face of authority. That's that getting in trouble, and that's, you know, it's fear. And oftentimes those tears of fears, it makes the conversation stop. And I wonder, you know, some of the dialogues that aren't happening, what would happen if both parties could engage around that fear? I wonder what would happen if both people could just allow the fear to come in, and, you know, we can manage and regulate our own emotions around that. We can talk about it without taking care of the other person, but to know that we're talking about something scary, then the dialogue may last longer.
Yeah, that resonates a lot.
It does.
The idea of feeling fearful, and yeah.
Even what you're saying is like wanting you to stay, like, because I want to be talking with you.
Right. But recognizing just even in that moment that we had a few minutes ago, like, I wanted to leave. I was like, whoa, this is too much. But we're still talking, and I'm hearing you, and I'm hearing that when dialogue can continue past that point, then we can keep going, we can keep working, we can keep talking.
Yeah.